Hey, I'm Tom. That's Mike. And we need to talk about
the Shockmaster.
my biological clock is ticking, and if I don't do it now, I might never be able to do so. So as you all know, Fred Ottman, big old dude. He went to the WWF, he became a literal boat, and then he became a bad guy, so he had to become like a really crazy, powerful Tropic Storm. He won the WWF tag titles with Earthquake, who was, a fellow bad weather thing. And then beginning in 93 comes, new generation stuff starts happening, and Fred's like, brother, I think I'm part of the old generation. So he packs his bags and heads on out. And then he gets a call from his brother-in-law, Dusty Rhodes, who's booking WCW at the time. Dusty's wife, Michelle, is married to Fred's wife. It's a whole thing. Dusty's like, hey man, we got a situation. Road Warrior Hawk was supposed to be in War Games, and now he's not. And we taped all of this TV at Worldwide to watch my last video. Up there, right there, look at that. Hopefully I put it there. If I didn't, it's a problem. We got to do this live thing to cover for it. He still said he's going to come in for like one match, which he does, but then he bebops out for the War Games. And Fred's probably like, couldn't this wait for like, Labor Day cookout or whatever? Dusty's like, no, dude, you got to get here ASAP. So like on practically no notice, Fred Ottman pops up, August 93 Clash of the Champions. He claimed in an interview with the Two Man Power Trip of Wrestling podcast back in 2015 that he showed up like a half hour, 45 minutes before the show started. They're like, here, wear this. And they hand him a glitter-painted Stormtrooper helmet. He's like, what is this? They're like, that's your thing now. You're going to wear that. And your name is the Shockmaster. You are an engineer of electricity. And he's like, cool. But there is no run-through. They kind of figure out on the fly that you can't get a microphone up inside of the toy Stormtrooper helmet. Ole Anderson has to dig back out the voice modulator thing that he used when he was doing the Black Scorpion stuff. I think we all know what happens. This is the famous moment. It was Flair for the Gold. It was Ric Flair's weird talk show that they spent like $100,000 on this fancy set so that he could pretend to be not even Leno or Letterman, more like Crook and Chase. Babyface and the heel team are all out yelling at each other about War Games coming up at Fall Brawl, and Sting's like, we got a partner that's gonna shock the world, dude. And then like the wall's supposed to explode and Shockmaster's supposed to walk out and be impressive. Except whoever put up this wall, there was like a board that was supposed to not be there, and it was, and the board didn't break. Down towards Fred's feet, he couldn't see because of the mask. Next thing you know, he goes stumbling through the wall, the mask comes off, and a meme is forever born. On that night, Fred Ottman became the original Chewbacca mom. Remember that thing we all did during COVID? WCW being WCW. They're like, this is hilarious. We need to run this on television as much as possible. By the time Fall Brawl comes around, they've completely rebooted the character. He's no longer like this cool techno space bulldozer dude. Instead, he's like a klutzy construction worker that can't, drink out of a cup, falls over himself all the time. This is before the internet. They didn't have to lean into it. Their audience would have ended up forgetting. Scott Hudson and Stephen Prazak sitting in the stands at center stage wouldn't have. But most of the fans watching on TVS in Nebraska, definitely. You see it once and then it becomes a, did that really happen type of thing, We don't have YouTube and TikTok to remind us. They didn't have to lean into it. They did Fred real dirty with this one. They get the Fall Brawl and he actually wins the fall for his team, which was, I guess, proof that they thought that turning him into the proto-meme would be his ticket to superstardom. Then nothing happens with him. They just seem destined to turn him into like a mascot of some kind. They wanted him to be the new Norman the Lunatic, like the weird hairy adult that hangs out with kids all the time. Case in point, October 2nd, 1993, Saturday night, Tony Schiavone has a special assignment. He has to go interview Uncle Fred at his house. I think it's his house. And yes, he's Uncle Fred now. He's not the Shockmaster. They call him Uncle Fred, like Uncle's his first name, Fred's his last name. That the Shockmaster's like his wrestling name. But there's two, I don't know. But like the Shockmaster isn't a different personality from Uncle Fred. It's just what they call him when he wrestles. But wouldn't you know who is one of these kids wrestling around in Fred's living room? Cute little adorable sweetie pie Cody Runnels. But I'm imagining like between takes, because you know this thing took like 20 takes to do. Uncle Fred, because he was Cody's like legitimate uncle. I'm sure he saw Cody like all the time. And these other kids, whatever, you know. Calls over Cody between takes. Sit here, Cody. Don't go to any of these schools that'll charge you. You make them pay you to train to wrestle. And then about 6 months in, I think they'll induct your dad into their Hall of Fame. They just started this Hall of Fame thing. And they're gonna have you and Dustin do the induction speech. His will be okay. I'll be a little nervous, but you will knock it out of the park. And they'll put you on TV. It won't go so well at first. It'll be way too soon for you. Be way too soon. But then I'm hearing things about Bob Orton Jr.'s kids getting the itch. He's getting the itch. I bet he'll be real good. He's tall. He's a tall kid. Tall, good-looking kid. So I bet he'll do pretty well. What you do is you get up with him. You never leave his side for like 2-3 years. And after that, you make sure you keep your skin real clean, your follicles real good. Maybe they'll make a thing out of it, grow a cute little mustache. And you quit. You walk out of the territory, just like I did. Just like I did back about a year ago. Real good business for those independent promoters. When you get real hot, here's what you do. You go to Inoki's office in Japan. So have some cute little American boys to hang out with, maybe a Canadian. And you know what the Japanese like? They like gun things. You do like a gun thing with them in Japan. You guys get hot. You get so hot. This guy in Champaign, Illinois, his name is Shad Khan. Has this bumper factory. The bumpers on the cars. Got this cute little kid that comes around the wrestling shows. His name's Tony. He knows everything. He's like an encyclopedia about wrestling. When he gets older, he's probably going to want to run some wrestling shows. He's got some money. He's going to want to meet with you. Because at this point in the business, WCW, this thing's got 7 more years in it. It's going to be gone for years. Only WWE, but there's going to be all this talent around. All this talent. You meet with this guy. You meet with this Khan guy. Next thing you know, you're on TNT. Not even TBS. TNT. Like the big one. And what I want you to do when you're in that company that you started, never win the world title. Never, ever, ever. I would say you even need to do a match where you say, I'm not going to win. I'm not going to challenge for the world title if I win this match. But your contract's going to come up. And everyone's going to assume that you're just going to stay with this company for life. But then Bruce and Vince are going to show up at your door one day and they're going to ask you for your price. You sign with them. And you become the biggest star in the industry. And that is what I think you should do, little boy. Shockmaster becomes hero of the children, kinda. There weren't really children watching WCW. Except for me. I was the one. This dude, he just kind of toils for a bit. He wins a 6-man tag at Halloween Havoc. And then at Battle Bowl, him and Paul Orndorff go to the finals. They win their first round match, but he doesn't win. And then at Starrcade, the biggest show of the year, wrestles Awesome Kong, not that one. Accompanied to the ring by his brother in King Kong, not that one. And he ends up beating King Kong. I don't know if Awesome Kong was like, I don't want to do the job, brother. That match sounds way cooler on paper than it worked out. Like, could you imagine going to a movie called The Shockmaster Battles King Kong? That would be so dope. And then after that, they start airing promos for this new character. The Super Shockmaster. Who happens to be the nephew of Uncle Fred. They had Fred Ottman get this cool new blue costume made around the time that they hired him to be the Shockmaster, but he couldn't be that guy after we all saw his face at the Clash. So they told him to, put it on ice for a few months and then we'll give it some use. And instead of like having him sit at home for a few months, disappear, and then come back as a new character, they're like, no, we're going to add to the Shockaverse. We're going to add a family member who talks like this, he has like the Ole Anderson voice modulator thing. But you can tell the plan for Shockmaster originally was that he was going to feud with, he was going to be the tiger mask to Vader's Black Tiger. Vader wore black and red. Super Shockmaster wore blue and white. And they had the same singlet with the long tights. The silly mask thing, He needed a new opponent for Vader because the Sting match had been done for, a year. Flair needed to move on. So why not get a nice Vader to wrestle him? And they have Super Shockmaster wrestle a couple of matches on TV where he just wrestles like Fred Ottman. Nothing new. And he's supposed to be the special referee for the Flair vs. Vader Thunder Cage match at Super Brawl 4 in February. Except it doesn't happen. I mentioned an interview Fred Ottman did with the Two Men Power Trip podcast back in 2015. Same interview, Fred details why he quit WCW. Apparently they were all at one of those marathon worldwide tapings I talked about in my last video. Again, up there, click it. It was the end of a long day. They'd been at her for 10, 12 hours, shot a bunch of episodes of TV. I guess the boys' dressing area was way far away from the studio where they shot the wrestling. Fred had just gotten back over there. He was getting ready to put his clothes back on and head out for the day. Blackjack Mulligan, who's one of the agents, apparently got a message on a walkie-talkie from Eric Bischoff. Hey, Fred, they need you back over there to shoot something. He's like, oh my gosh, what? And Mulligan's like, oh, they're doing a pull-apart with Vader and Max Payne, and they need bodies to fill to pull them apart. And if you've never seen a pull-apart in a pro wrestling match, first off, this is a weird first wrestling video for you to watch. Pull-aparts in wrestling, typically, it's like the prelim guys. The guys that lose on TV all the time. The guys that, you can afford to have get bumped around a bit when two big colossal guys are trying to be pulled apart. Fred figured it out. Like, oh crap, this is being taped for 4 months down the line. I'm going to lose my feud to Vader, and then I'm getting phased down the card. This is bullshit. So he's like, hey, Blackjack Mulligan, tell Bischoff to fuck off. And he keeps putting his clothes on, and he leaves. And he doesn't come back. That ends the story of the Shockmaster in WCW. Or does it? In March, they started airing these interviews on Saturday night where Mean Gene goes to the beach, where they're shooting Thunder in Paradise, and he talks to Hulk Hogan, and they really start building up. Hulk might come wrestle for WCW. Brutus Beefcake's there, and Jimmy Hart's there, and then one or two of them, Fred Ottman's hanging out, guy who had just quit WCW. Could you imagine social media if it existed in 1994? Picking apart every last move of Fred Ottman in the background. Lore, cinema. But somehow nothing came of it because B. Brian Blair and Fred were like the only two guys that Hulk couldn't get jobs in WCW. It's the end of the Shockmaster story. It kind of sputters out. I wish it had a cool ending, like, and then he exploded back on the way to his planet, and then he got into a fist fight with Bobby Heenan over who got the last Funyuns and catering. Nothing like that. He just got mad, went home. So if you like this video, as always, please like, comment, subscribe, hype, do all the things that bump this video up in the algorithm. And my name's Tom, that back there's Mike, and I need to go call my doctor and schedule my Shockmasterectomy.